Hi everybody, this is Rose of Sharon and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently read Milk of Paradise, The History of Opium, or A History of Opium, not The History of Opium, by Lucy Ingles, or Ingles. And this book is absolutely fascinating. It reads extremely quickly despite the fact that it is rife with information about how the states actually acquired opium and how opium was actually created from laudanum. Well, laudanum was the first real use of opium itself, and that was invented back in the Dark Ages. Yeah, laudanum is extremely old, and it talks about the invention of Coca-Cola. It was actually cola beans and a form of opium, I think. And that was actually invented to contradict or counteract alcoholism. People got addicted to Coca-Cola. I mean, yeah, good idea, however, bad premise and bad implementation and elements used in trying to contradict said problem of alcoholism, but that was actually during Prohibition, so big issue. And quite a bit of this was introduced by the Chinese, and of course we know this, but Vasco da Gama and Marco Polo were also integral in implementing and getting people in the know about opium because they had it on their ships. And I never knew this. This is this hidden, what I like to call hidden history. And it's positively fantastic. And I could not put this book down. It was addictive, pardon the pun. But absolutely loved it. Thought it was sensational. And I honestly cannot wait to read the books that I have already acquired from the library, because I finished this in order to get to my Mortal Engines Darkling Plan and what was the other one? Infernal Devices. I think Infernal Devices actually happens before Darkling Plan does. Those are the 4 books in the quartet of the Mortal Engines series, and then there are 5 other books which comprise a prequel of sorts that I have not yet read, but I will. I'm also going to be reading a book on Lucille Ball, a writer that actually wrote for my favorite, it was My Favorite Husband before it became Lucille Ball, or The Lucy Show. Then there's a book about Cole Porter, who is actually from Peru, Indiana. I always thought he was from Bloomington. No, he was from Peru. So I learned something. And then one about Red Skelton, whom my grandparents knew. So these are more personal books, but I have to say, if you're interested in Milk Paradise, it's actually a reference book. This is a book that I'm probably going to buy for myself just because if I want to write about an addiction, it's probably going to be about somebody that's gripped by opium. And it stems back all the way to the Minoans. And the Minoans actually, of course, they were sun worshippers, but they had a goddess who was apparently a nurturing type. Just like if you look into Greek mythology, it's similar, but they had a goddess type who was supposed to be all loving and caring and giving, etc. And she was surrounded by poppies, or she was the goddess of the poppy. And opium has a lot to do with Nyx as well as Demeter and Ceres. Ceres was always pictured carrying a sheaf of wheat and a bouquet of poppies. I thought, Say what? I've never seen, I've always thought, okay, yeah, sure. Ceres has the wheat. Yes, of course, that's where we get cereal from, but poppies, really? Oh, right. Sure. Goddess of agriculture. And then it's also depicted as being Nyx's, the goddess of the night, her particular flower, as well as the roots of Morpheus is what are called the drops of Morpheus. I've heard it called that. It's used a lot during end of life care, and I myself am a portent to this because my mother had it before she died, and hindsight being what it is, and my mom's anniversary is actually coming up on the 19th. I wish I had known that she was in excruciating agony, or I would have just said to the doctors, my dad probably would have too, just give her the whole dose of morphine so she doesn't have to be in pain anymore. But we didn't know, and I think what happened for a reason, and I know it sounds kind of cruel, but she did have a lot of deliverance from that pain of just the cancer destroying her utterly. I don't want to see anybody go through that ever again. It's a horrible way to die. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy. I don't have any enemies, but even if I did, I wouldn't wish it on them because it's just awful. But it's used quite a bit in end-of-life care. It was used from the soldiers, and right after the Silk Road, it actually started getting popularized, and the settlers had it. Actually, the revolutionaries had it. Thomas Jefferson had it. He cultivated it. And I thought, whoa, Tommy Jefferson, of all people, one of my favorite patrons of our great nation. Holy crap. I mean, I was thrown by that. But I'm not really shocked because a lot of the forefathers had hemp as well. And that was given such a bad rap. But opium's worse than hemp. I'm sorry. No offense. I mean, yes, it does help, but it's also a monster just ready to attack when you least expect. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed the book, and I think it's absolutely fascinating. If you have a chance to pick it up, do. It's utterly sensational and a very quick read, and I highly recommend it. And I'm going to be using it as a reference book now. So until next time, live long and prosper. Ciao, Titi.